So just start at the 30,000 foot level and tell us, like, where are we on that scale?
And thanks for having me, and great to see you again. And I think the talk about World War III is a little overblown here. The Iranians are not a nuclear power. They don't have a conventional military. They don't have an air force. They have basically what we saw over the weekend is, for the most part, the extent of their military capabilities. Now they can shoot more drones and ballistic missiles and things like that. But I think there's some people who are being a little loose with the facts and with the reality here by claiming that we're risking World War III. I mean, obviously, if there was some risk here of like a Russian or Chinese entrance into this, that would obviously be a different scenario. But the idea of Israel counterattacking here against Iran, that's not going to cause World War III. In 1987, when the Iranians were screwing around in the Gulf and they had mined the Persian Gulf, Ronald Reagan did something called Operation Praying Mantis, which is over the course of a couple of hours, he put most of the Iranian Navy on the floor of the Persian Gulf. And that was that. The Iranians are big, blustering bullies, and they don't actually have a whole lot behind all the bravado other than what we saw over the weekend. There's no World War III that's going to happen here.
What were they doing? Because we saw the Israel strike of the Iranian leaders on April 1st, and they took out, they said, the men directly responsible for 10/7. So that was a retaliation by Israel after it was attacked. Then Iran comes back and acts like it is the initial victim and says, all right, we're attacking you. But I've read it two different ways. They're feckless, and they kind of are not very good, for some of the reasons you just outlined, at warfare. And they tried, but Israel was too strong with Iron Dome and Arrow 3 and all these defense systems. Or was it, no, they can do much better. It's not that they're feckless. It's that they intentionally struck things they knew Israel could defend against because they too don't want to escalate.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost beside the point. I mean, they launched 300 projectiles, including ballistic missiles the size of school buses, at Israel, at another country, and that is an act of war. As far as this game over like the tit for tat, I find this to be ridiculous. Like, Iran has been chanting death to Israel, death to America since 1979. They have pursued a strategy in the Middle East that they call the Ring of Fire, which is surrounding Israel with their terrorist proxy groups. This has been going on for decades. They fund, arm, train Hamas, Hezbollah, the Shia militias in Syria and Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen. Israel is literally surrounded by Iranian proxy terrorist organizations that are funded and armed by Iran, that shoot missiles and commit terrorist attacks on Israel on a constant basis for decades. The idea that Israel bombing this fake diplomatic facility, which was not a diplomatic facility, it was an IRGC base, and the IRGC is a US designated terrorist organization, by the way. They eliminated several very high value targets, guys who were overseeing the Ring of Fire strategy. These were the guys who were like the liaisons with the terrorist groups and helping get them arms and money. These are the guys that helped Hamas plan October 7th. And taking out those were the most legitimate military targets in the history of military targets.
Yes.
And the idea that this is some like tit for tat, Iran has been at war with Israel since 1979, and Israel is finally responding. And the people who claim that there is some like equivalence here, it's just I think they know what they're doing, and they're not being honest.
There isn't. But now what? Right? Because now Iran's done what it did. Israel defended against it with the help of the United States, the UK, France. And now there's a question of, is that piece of this done? Because Israel's saying it's not done, that they will respond, that they have to. And the United States is saying, we're out. If you're going to do that, we're not going to support it, and we're not going to support what happens after it.
The Biden role here is so shameful. The only thing he cares about is his reelection. And it's not so much, votes in Michigan. This is The interest of his administration is to not have to run for re-election with a war going on in the background that enables Donald Trump to point out the very obvious thing that I think everyone sees, which is that during the Trump administration, there was peace treaties breaking out in the Middle East. And during the it is kind of the Obama administration. During the Biden administration, there is war breaking out in the Middle East all over the place. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And the eating we have here is war. This is Biden's wars. This is because Biden has distanced the United States from Israel. He has pursued the Obama-Iran deal strategy of Iran can do no wrong. There's like Obama's law, which is that Iran is allowed to attack anyone they want, but no one's allowed to attack Iran. And this is enforced now by the Biden administration. These are Biden's wars that he caused. And now his administration is desperately trying to figure out a way to not have to run for re-election with these wars going on in the background. And so what he does is he basically goes to the Israelis who depend on the United States and value an alliance with the United States and value friendship with the United States. And he basically says to them, I'm gonna hold your arms behind your back so you can't respond because I don't want there to be a war going on while I'm running for re-election. And that's actually what's going on here. And it actually is bad for the United States. It makes the world more dangerous. It makes the Middle East more dangerous. The Iranians correctly read from this that they have a free hand and that the United States will hold back its own allies. And everyone in the Middle East, this is not just about the Jews in Israel. This is the Gulf Arab states, Saudi Arabia, UAE, our allies, U.S. allies, oil-producing countries are in the crosshairs. The Iranians want to go after these guys. They hate those regimes. There's a reason they were making peace treaties with Israel is because they want to be united against Iran. Biden is playing with fire here. And now that the fires are burning, he is just basically telling the people he has influence over, which is the Israelis, you're not allowed to fight.
Let's back up because you said Biden helped create this. Like this is on him, what's happened to begin with. That's why he's so desperate to make it stop before November. Of course, he accused Trump of having set the stage for all of this. He warned us that Trump was the one back in 2020 who was going to get us into war with Iran. I'm going to play that. And then I want you to explain what you meant. Like, what exactly did Biden do that led to this moment in your view? Here's soundbite 7 first, though. Watch.
The world has changed because of what Trump has done. And the American people, including independents and some Republicans, know how bad he is, know how much he's misrepresented, know how he's getting close to getting us in a war. I said, as the walls close in on this man, I'm worried he's going to get us to war in Iran. Unfortunately, I may have been right. The fact of the matter is there's a lot at stake in this election.
Wow. It's unbelievable to hear under the circumstances. So go ahead, expand on that.
Look at how lively and coherent he is. My God,
I know.
It's only 4 years ago. Like the contrast is enormous.
It's terrifying.
Look, Biden, there's an old line about if you seek peace, prepare for war. And it's true. It's thousands of years old. And it's a very simple concept, which is that when you're dealing with people who wish you harm, if you act weak and if you indulge them and if you give them goodies hoping to buy them off, typically they're going to end up seeing that you're weak and they're going to attack you even more. And then there's the alternative to that, which is you actually have to be tough and look tough. And if you walk around looking tough, odds are you're not going to actually end up having to fight. That is exactly what Trump showed. He was right. His foreign policy was actually a huge success in the Middle East. Foreign policy is very simple. You reward your friends and punish your enemies. And then you'll have more friends and you'll have fewer enemies. It's actually not that hard. And what Biden has been doing and what Obama started was rewarding our enemies and punishing our friends. That is the basic dynamic of Obama-Biden policy in the Middle East is anyone who's pro-American, you screw them over. So the pro-American people in the Middle East are the Gulf Arabs and the Israelis. And Obama was always trying to help the Muslim Brotherhood and the Palestinians. Biden has continued this with Iran. And I have my sort of theories about why this may be. I think Democrats, especially left-wing Democrats, kind of like these guys who don't like America because progressives don't like America either. So there's like but it creates more conflict. And I think that the Obama people or the Biden people are incredibly bad at their jobs. They're deeply unwise and mediocre people who really do believe that they're like chess masters here when in reality, foreign policy rarely has an opportunity to play chess. It's usually much simpler, which is you stand with your friends and you oppose your enemies.
There are some common sense reasons gold is pushing to all-time highs right now. The cost of goods continues to rise, for one, you know that. The national debt continues to skyrocket, above $34 trillion now, causing many to worry about when this house of cards is going to come crashing down and on whom. And then there's our presidential election year. That's going to have massive implications on the future of this country. All of this can add up to instability and uncertainty. And that's why many Americans are turning to Birch Gold Group. Have you diversified your savings yet? One option you could consider is to secure a portion of your savings with gold from Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and get your free information kit. You'll learn how to convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold without costing you anything. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers. Just text MK to 989898 to claim your free info kit and learn how you might protect your savings from uncertainty today. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.